Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Running the Bases. I am your host, Michael Garaffa, joined today by Mr. Nick Nath. Nick, first off, how the heck are you doing today?
Been pretty good. It's a little bittersweet.
Yeah?
It's our last show of the semester. Like you said, coming in, it's our last show until 2022 now.
So sad.
Can't believe Ryan's not here.
I know! He's missing the Season 5 premiere.
For a Pistons game?
Yeah.
We got to give him a lot of...
Yeah, a lot of poop for that.
A lot of poop for that.
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah, it should be a fun show, but yeah, like we said, I'm excited to do the shows over the off-season now. I mean, over our off-season for school.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting winter as Major League Baseball has locked out, and we'll get into that and more in the show. There's a lot to cover. It is our Season 5 premiere, though, and what that means is we've got to unveil our new logo, and we have to change the color on the StreamYard for the semester, for the year to go, for the season to go in with our logo. So let me change the color right now. And that is our new color. It will go along with our new logo, which Nick has already seen. Nick has already seen it. Let me pull that logo up really quickly for you guys because it is. I'm a big fan. I'm a very big fan. I did it with Nick alongside me. He was there for the whole process. He was very loyal in in helping me make sure that it was done well, and he gave me great feedback.
Very good.
So
very
let's
good.
Share the screen.
Turned out really well.
And here we go. The new logo for the Season 5 right there. God, I like it a lot. To me, I think that's our best one so far. Credit to whoever made that design. I threw in the RTV S5. Super simple. After this show, that'll be the logo on the YouTube channel. I'll probably do that in the middle of the show for fun. But yeah, I'm super stoked about it. We've got Shohei Ohtani. He's our new cover player for the season. As by popular demand, a lot of people were hoping that we did this. We did do it. And a little, it's a little different than the original one that I made. But again, because of popular demand, we made it Shohei Ohtani, and rightly so. And who might even be the cover of MLB The Show next year? Who knows? That'd be pretty cool. So there is that. We have a ton to talk about today, Nick. There is so much on the docket from what has happened so far in the off season. It's been hectic, to say the least. We have had, it really has been. It has been incredibly frustrating, but it's also been really, really, it's been exciting at a lot of times. So we're going to start by talking about, we're going to review some of the free agents that have signed so far. Talking about, we're just going to go down the list at some of the top free agents because there's been a lot that has happened, and I think it's been a very quick offseason so far. The amount of free agents that have signed and the amount of good free agents that have signed at this point almost makes you feel like it's January or February, but it is not. It's only December 2nd. And this is all because teams are expecting a lockout, and we'll also give a little bit of an update on what's going on with some of our points. And we also have the very fantastic Mr. Tim Ryder. Tim, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you. How are you doing?
What's happening, guys? Nice to see you again.
It has been great. I'm assuming you can hear Nick. Nick's on the other side of this computer. I'm hoping that his volume comes through. So if Nick's too quiet, let me know. We'll figure that out. So we also had just unveiled the logo. I'll put it on screen so that you can see because I think you would enjoy the logo for this season. This is the new Running the Bases Season 5 logo featuring Shohei Ohtani. I grabbed that graphic on the internet and I was like, let me just put RTB S5 and then we're perfect. It's don't take offense by the shirt. It's the World Champions shirt. I just got it in the mail. I had to
good enough.
I had to at least wear it on the last. This is our last show of the semester on Blaze because today was our last day of classes. So,
congratulations, guys!
Well, thank you. It's our last. We're halfway through junior year. It's crazy.
Good to hear.
It's going so fast. When we first met you, we were just sophomores at the time. Now look, we're almost seniors. So like I was saying, we are going to be going over the free agents that have signed so far, the big ones. We're going to look at some of the predictions we've made. I will say most of our predictions have been very wrong, and some of the viewers will be shocked to see who's leading the predictions right now. The person who had the craziest at the time, which Tim will fill you in on, because that was there was one guy who made very, very strange predictions, and he's winning. So the main free agent so far, he was our number 2 on the list, is Corey Seeger, and that was there were talks for a lot of different places. Most of us had him going to the Yankees. Ryan and I were the only one who didn't have him going to the Yankees. We had him going back to the Dodgers. And he was a very, very hot topic this winter because he's one of the best players in baseball. And for him to be a free agent is a really big deal. So, Nick, we'll start with you. What was your take on the Corey Seager signing with the Rangers? Not only with the Rangers, but for a 10-year contract and that kind of money. That's just – for a guy like that, it's a huge deal.
Yeah. Obviously, the Rangers made the first huge splash in signing Seeger. Honestly, I really thought it was between the Dodgers and the Yankees for Seeger. I really didn't think that the Rangers had any chance of signing him. But, you pair Seeger with Simeon now, and you kind of see where the Rangers' plans were. Probably building the best middle infield in all of baseball now with that. And so, it's a huge step forward for their franchise. Seager's their guy now for the next 10 years. 10 years, 325 or 3.
I think so. Yeah, 325 sounds right.
And so now that probably sets the precedent for most of the rest of the shortstops. I would think Correa would get around the same, if not more.
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah.
So, this Seager deal is pretty big in my opinion. Yankee fans are pretty disappointed that they didn't get him. Dodger fans are gonna miss him, but they still have Trey Turner to fill that. Yeah, so good for Rangers fans though. They got him and Simeon, and now they're somewhat back to being decent, and that lineup at least is somewhat nice.
Yeah,
with the addition of John Gray too in the rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get more on Simeon too in a bit. Tim, what did you think about this deal? A big shortstop, a guy who the Yankees were targeting but didn't want to spend the money on, ending up going to a team like the Rangers.
Well, the Rangers, they're clearly making a big push. They've got their new stadium. I guess the pandemic, I'm sure, took a little luster off of that. And it's always been an organization willing to spend. If you go back even to the A-Rod deal, they were willing to shell out for him such a long time ago. And, you have to assume they're just trying to get back into that swing of things. And, they have a really nice core coming up. I think they got a lot out of Garcia last season, and hopefully they have a player in him. I still believe in Nick Solak. I think I'm the only one left. But we'll see how he fits into the plans. But, yeah, I think Seager coming in, especially from a winning organization in L.A., it's the – I guess kind of like the culture change that we saw the Mets kind of go after. You want to bring in those championship caliber players.
Yeah, it definitely was it wasn't shocking to me to see the Rangers get him because we had heard that the Rangers were going after big fish this winter. But what I was most shocked about was the fact that when the Yankees dropped out, that the Dodgers didn't push harder. But to me, this solidifies that the Dodgers look to lock up Trey Turner for the very long term, as they should, being one of the most underrated and most talented players in the game. And it makes you wonder what the deal that Seager signed with Turner being a free agent next year. I wonder what Trey Turner is going to get, because to me, I said it before the year, I thought Trey Turner was the best shortstop in baseball. And I still hold a thought that he may still be the best shortstop in baseball. So I wonder what kind of deal he's going to get, because Correa is going to impact that a lot too. And I think Corey Seager signing that deal for less than Lindor too, to me, which shocked me that he got less than Lindor. I personally think he's better, and I was really surprised that he didn't. And I think that's going to lead Correa to try and top that Lindor mark and maybe go for 345, which that would be crazy. So,
just a note on Turner. No other player in Major League Baseball had more wins above replacement last season than Trey Turner. So, he's gonna get paid, and that's the guy. I'm not surprised the Dodgers would pivot away from a player like Corey Seager when you have Turner, who you gave away for a couple of properties, who you acquired for a couple of prospects and such. That's huge.
Yeah, and I think we kind of saw it at the deadline when they went after Turner. It made us think, well, Corey Seager's time in LA is done. It still feels weird, Seager's been their journeyman for a while, and for him to just go felt odd. He's almost, I mean, I wouldn't say he's the Freddie Freeman of that organization, but he feels like it. And for him to not be there is it's gonna feel different for the Dodgers next year. They're gonna be a different team for the first time in a while, and I think that's gonna be one of the weirder parts about it. And then the next player on here was kind of the opposite of Corey Seager and a guy who's jumped around a lot, and that's Starling Martay, another guy who's super talented, who has played all over the major leagues. I mean, he's been with the Athletics, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, the Pirates, and now he's on the Mets, which to me, I started jumping around when I heard that. You can ask Ryan, who's unfortunately not here. But I was with Ryan when that happened, and well, Ryan was just ready to slap me with the amount of times I was screaming, "Oh my God, the Mets got Starling Martay." Little did I know that would be the smaller signing of the winter. But we'll start with you, Tim, as a Mets fan. What does this signing mean for the Mets? Not looking at the Scherzer deal yet, because obviously this was done beforehand. Just what does this mean for the Mets for what the future is going to look like? Because to me, this is such a different kind of deal and player than we've seen the Mets go after in the past.
Yeah. I think the first thought that most Mets fans had was, of course, the level of player that Marte is and him being a true center fielder. I mean, that's just plus on both sides of the board there. But I heard a lot of talk that it was similar to the Curtis Granderson deal, who came here late in his career, and you almost looked towards Granderson as, I guess he was a guy coming from the Yankees, coming with that championship, ilk or however you want to refer to it. And Marte, of course, hasn't been with those championship level clubs for the most part, but as a player, I mean, his offense is there. He's extremely dynamic. His base running, his speed is still there, and just being a true center fielder. I know his metrics are kind of up and down. If it matters, kind of where you look at his defensive metrics. Statcast might have him rated high. Fangraphs just the opposite. But when you have a true center fielder out there, and you're able to put, Brandon Nimmo and Mark Canha or Canha. Do you guys know if it's Canha or Canha?
Canha.
Canha. All right, perfect. So if you're able to put two guys, and both of them can play center field extremely capably, you got three center fielders roaming your outfield grass. I mean, that's huge, and add the offensive dynamic to it, and yeah, that's a galvanizing type of move.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. What do you go ahead?
Yeah, no, Marte, another guy, kind of like similar to Seeger, the Yankees wanted to, and he fits in well with New York. It's a really good piece you got going there. Plus 300 hitter in like Oakland, Arizona. Probably like the lone bright spot for the D-backs when they have him. So yeah, very like Tim said, he's like a true center fielder for you guys now, and you think he's gonna hit leadoff?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a very good leadoff hitter to have in the lineup. And he's just gonna be able to fill in a lot of gaps that you guys didn't have last year. He's gonna hit 300, probably around 25 bombs, driving around 60, steal a couple bases, do the typical leadoff thing. But to have a guy like that lead off for the rest of your life is pretty special.
Yeah. Well, I wish this could be a Mets podcast, because I would love to go so much deeper on because I'll go into it a little bit, and thankfully Ryan's not here to yell at me about it. This gave us a real window into what Billy Epler's trying to do as the general manager of the Mets, and I tweeted a lot about it when they had the press conference with Marte and Canha, and Escobar was there as well, but specifically the two outfielders. That when he's looking for outfielders, he's looking for defense and offense at the same time. And he kind of prioritizes defense a little bit, which I think is why they heavily went after Canha, as opposed to, they might have, well, he got a qualifying offer. They could have gone after Nick Castellanos to have the bat. But going after Mark Canha and pretty much saying from the start, yeah, Mark Canha is going to be our starting left fielder. He's going to be starting in the outfield next year. For a guy who only hit 230 last season is a bold statement, but it shows you that he wants the defense. And I think it's great to know that he has a plan. In the past, we've seen the Mets go after just players because they're cheaper and can play well at a low cost. But to see a guy with a plan was, to me, so refreshing. And Tim, I'd be intrigued to hear your thoughts on that too, because it was clear he has a plan for the kind of player he wants off the field and on the field for both hitters and pitchers, which is, it gives we can probably easily predict the upcoming off seasons when they come, because we know what he's looking for.
Yeah, I mean versatility, and you even saw it with the last regime. Who they tried to kind of take a step in that direction with guys who are interchangeable positions. Where, oh hey, and I think Epler said it pretty much to a T on Wednesday.
Yeah.
How if you want to, guys have been playing 2 weeks in a row. It might be I think his exact phrase was sandwiched between 2 road trips or whatever the case may be. You don't necessarily want to give a game away and say, all right, we have to give these guys a day off. Now we're running our B squad out there. Yeah, what if you got A guys across the whole roster? And I think that's kind of the goal that they're going for. And, we've seen it work in LA. We've seen it work on depth-laden teams. And some teams go for it at the trade deadline and they try to add that extra oomph. I think the Mets started out with their, I guess, task list with that in mind. And Epler's done it, he's ran his plan to a T so far, and it's been extremely impressive.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's plenty of depth still to add, obviously, with the bench being right now empty for the Mets, which is going to be interesting to see how they fill that once the lockout ends. But it's going to be an interesting winter for the Mets. So there's our Mets talk, which we'll get back to. The next player after this upcoming one, who could have been on the Mets, which is the good old Nick. I'll let you do the talking on this one. You can just take it away from announcing who the player is and where they're going.
No, yeah. Javier Baez will be wearing the Old English tee next year in Motown, and I'm pretty excited, honestly, particularly from the contract standpoint and from the player he is. And from everything I've heard from Mets fans and Cubs fans, I've heard nothing but positive things. That you're gonna love him. He's a special type of player. He's a different energy, and like you guys saw, like with the Mets last year, he was a very sound player. He hit like 291, 8 home runs, 22 RBIs. Was on base like 38% of the time, and that's exactly the type of player the Tigers need right now. It's not a Correa, but in my opinion, Correa's not worth the point to where we gave Baez just because of the money that Seeger got too. Like, I don't think the Tigers are going to dish out $350 million for one player, and the fact that we gave Baez $140 million gives us flexibility now, adding like another starting pitcher, which I'm pretty excited about too. And so the Tigers have a clear plan now. We got our guy for the future, and it's an opt-out after 2 years. Maybe we'll see if Riley Green fills in that shortstop hole. But for majority of the time now, the Tigers have their infield set for the future, and I'm pretty excited.
Now you might have a chance to get Justin Verlander still because he hasn't signed his contract.
Officially, I don't think he's so. He's pretty set.
Yeah, he's set, but I mean, who knows? We've got a lockout going, and the Astros might say, maybe we don't really want him. Who knows? You never know. It's going to be interesting. Well, of course. So Tim, I'll throw it to you next. Javi Baez, as a Met, was just thrilling to watch. What do you think this has of an impact on such a young Tigers team? And then after that, you can hit a little bit on the Mets too, and how that impacts the Mets and what they're left with.
Well, I guess for Detroit, I love their future. You got some extremely talented players coming up. I mean, of course, you have your Riley Greens, your Spencer Torkelson, even Dylan Dingler, who I adore. Daz Cameron, a big fan of. I think they've done a really nice job of not falling off a cliff as far as not having upper echelon talent. But now with the direction that they're going, and you have to think there's still players once the market opens up again. With Baez alone, when he came back from the IL, I think it was August 22nd. I do have it here. 328, 401, 557, 162 weighted runs created plus. That was over his last 147 plate appearances of the season. This was a different type of hitter. It was a more patient hitter. It was a more disciplined hitter. He wasn't chasing as much. He would still chase sometimes. I think we all remember the clip of him swinging at a ball maybe 10 feet before it got to the plate. But it's just a level of excitement and they call him El Mago for a reason, bro. He's magical. He does things in full speed that we couldn't do in slow motion on the base paths in the field. It's just it was a joy to watch. I think Detroit's going to have that level of just upper crust ball player that they kind of need to take that next step. I'm very curious to see what happens to Willie Castro. I'm a big Willie Castro fan. Had a really tough year last year. Outstanding 2020. I'm curious to see if he sticks around. I'm curious to see if he's used his depth. Because, I mean, and I guess in turn, where you kind of asked me to turn to the Mets, and that's kind of where they stand. You have to wonder where the incumbents, the Jeff McNeils, the J.D. Davises, the Dom Smiths, how they're going to fit in now that they have other more capable players in starting roles pretty much across the board. And once the market opens up, the same deal. Now that the Mets don't have Baez playing second, you have to assume Jeff McNeil probably stays in the picture a little bit more. You also have Robbie Cano, who can play second base, Eduardo Escobar, who can play second base. You have J.D. Davis and Escobar probably, at this point sharing time at third. Dom Smith, if there's a DH, seeing some time at first. Maybe a late game left-handed bat off the bench, which he's excelled in that role. Yeah. So, the Mets, without Baez, they're going to have to, I guess, shuffle their plans. At 6/140, I would imagine that maybe the Mets wanted to get in, but with his opt-out, I guess they can always jump back into that pool if they want to.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that, and I'm happy to see Baez go to a team that has so much potential. I hope that he continues this, I guess, disciplined approach at the plate and really just takes off. As far as the Mets, I mean, you have to go and pivot because I'd prefer to see a bench of those three guys I just mentioned as opposed to, platoons with 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and I know better than anyone that you're championing big time for Chris Bryant, which I would be.
I am. I think it would just be a fit. And like you said, with Epler's versatility, I think it would be the perfect fit because you can move him into the corners, play him at third, do whatever.
Yeah, I completely agree. And his off the field attitude as well could make him a very big target for the Mets. But who knows? I mean, you really never know.
You could write it down. I'll put it on the wall now. Chris Bryant to the Mets. I just feel it in my bones.
Nah, okay. You don't need the Rockies?
Excellent. Nick, that was perfect timing. That was awesome.
Do not Rockies. I can have a whole show ranting about the Rockies. I'm gonna get preemptively fired from any job I ever.
Not Barstool.
Got a point there, but yeah, I just don't even. Blast the Rockies into the sun. I've had enough of them. Yeah, I like that. I'd be happy to see Chris Bryant come to the Mets because I predicted him to, so that would be an extra point for me.
There you go.
To the $100 that we have on the line, but
is that what you guys got on?
Yeah, we're doing $20 from each of us, and there were 6 of us that were doing it. So it's the winner gets 100, which is a lot. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
we did. It was only 60 last year. No, I think we only did 30 because I think we did 10 each. But now that we're getting older, we can dip a little bit more into that. So a lot on the line, and it's quite fascinating. So far, none of us have predicted anything right. We might not even get. We'll get to the players that we have gotten right because we're gonna. Once we get out of these top 4 or 5, we'll go a little bit quicker with some of these because these main guys are just really important. Which brings us to the next one, which brought me to tears in the gym in front of hundreds of people when the Mets signed Max Scherzer, which was just the. I could pull up the video right now of him putting on the Mets hat. You'll just see my smile ear to ear. It's just, oh my God! Like it's Max Scherzer is a Met. How? I don't know. Tim, give me the more not because I've got the little kid inside of me that's just jumping for joy, and I can't possibly put together a professional sentence about Max Scherzer coming to the Mets. So I'll let you take care of that for me.
Oh no, you've come to the wrong person for professionalism on this one. This is beyond what anyone. I think I said it the day before he signed. I said it on Twitter. I said, I still think Scherzer's going back to Los Angeles, but can you imagine Jake and him in the same rotation? I said it so just pulling it out of my rear end. I could, by the next morning it happened. It was done. And I'm still kind of in shock. And even seeing him put his hat on and talk, it's like, no way. And now you got the lockout. So it's like, that this is just going to drag out. It's going to make it as tough as possible for us to see these two pitch together. But, yeah, he's in blue and orange, and it's a step in the right direction on so many levels. The Mets had to shore up their rotation. There's no better way to do it than this. But the clubhouse culture and the championship culture and that just next level of focus and dedication, Max Scherzer embodies it. And that's, there wasn't a more perfect signing the Mets could have made. And I don't think any of us expected it.
No, I didn't. Here's my screensaver. I'm going. I've just. I mean, it's a dream. It's a dream. Like Max Scherzer has been murdering the Mets for years. Since 2000, I think it was 2013 or 14 when he signed with the Nationals. Yeah. Years. And well, yeah, you would know better than anyone when you left the Tigers.
Yeah.
But
shame on me. I completely forgot that he pitched for the Diamondbacks. I had to go back and edit my article at the Apple because I knew the year it was 08. Completely forgot he was in Arizona.
Yeah.
He came over with like Mark Schlereth's son, right? Daniel Schlereth?
That I have no idea. All I know is it was a 3-team trade from the D-backs, Tigers, and Yankees.
Oh, I was gonna say because I was like, I didn't think
about Scherzer to
Detroit,
Granderson to New York, and I don't know who went to the D-backs.
Oh wow!
Robbie Ray was involved, I think.
Really?
Oh my goodness!
I think we gave them Ray because we drafted Ray originally, and then
he went to Arizona. He was there for a while.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Hold on, I'm going to try and find this. I'm looking it up. Let's see.
Oh, BREF at the bottom, right at the transactions page.
Okay, here we go. You were right. Daniel Schlereth was in that deal.
Now, do you guys know Mark Schlereth? He's the NFL announcer on Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be a lineman for the Washington. I almost said it. The Washington football team and the Denver Broncos.
So funny.
That's incredible.
Oh,
wow.
Dude, I'm a Giants fan. You know how hard it was for me to.
No,
it's just ingrained. I mean, I'm happy that they changed the name because we're not getting into all that, but just to kind of switch gears like that was tough, man.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I
let's go Guardians.
With the Guardians, I like I don't know what to do. Like I'm typing when I'm writing articles. I'm like in the indie Guardians. Like I don't know what to do. Like how am I gonna? And I need to buy a shirt now so that I have one for all 30 teams again because I need a Guardians shirt because now they're
awesome logo.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them. They haven't released a shirt or jersey design yet, so I need to get that because right now they only have Cleveland across the front. So I'm waiting for that. So looking at the this trade, Curtis Granderson went to the Yankees from the Tigers. The Tigers got Phil Koch and Austin Jackson from the Yankees. And they got Max Scherzer and Daniel Schlereth from the D-backs. And the D-backs got Edwin Jackson and Ian Kennedy. Whoa!
Dude, that was a blockbuster. Phil Koch was supposed to be the man. Yeah. Phil Koch was supposed to be the next Phil Hughes. And that's right when Phil Hughes was like busting out. Right. And Ian Kennedy, I mean, that was a blue chip. He was a top, prospect.
Yeah.
Koch, I miss Koch in the bullpen now. He was a staple in the bullpen. He struggled for a lot of years.
Dude, he had nasty stuff. Him, Jabba, and Hughes were supposed to be like the bullpen of the future. I guess it was right when they moved Hughes to the bull. Oh yeah, that was. Dude, I never minded watching the Yankees. We've had this conversation here. I enjoyed those teams a lot.
Yeah. I've never been able to.
The Tigers always bullied them. I had so much fun. I had so much fun.
One of them actually bullied at the time.
We bullied them, the A's, and the Orioles.
Yeah, well, I grew up with the Orioles and the A's.
Sonny Gray's big postseason performance was against the Tigers, right? When he was with Oakland.
Most of Verlander's big pitching performances were against Oakland.
Verlander, Sonny Gray, yeah.
He always started the game at 94, 95, and ended the game at 98.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I watched dots on my screen at work. I remember that game.
Yeah.
Gray was great with the Athletics. Wow, this is great off-topic discussion. I love it.
I'm sorry, I'm a tangent guy. I apologize.
So am I. That's the problem. You and I are both going on massive tangents because that's what we do, so it's fine. And Nick's not going to complain. He's talking about the time.
These were good days of baseball.
Yeah, they were. They're our glory days. The
pre-lockout days.
Yeah, remember when players had faces? Those were the good old days.
Oh God.
we'll get into that in about 10 or so minutes. We'll get into the lockout. If you have to leave at any point, you can let me know. I know that
I got like another. I probably have another 15.
Okay, perfect. So then
Cool.
we might as well. We'll get into some of the CBA and lockout talks, and then we'll circle back on some of the free agents once you head out. Because again, Tim lives on the East Coast, and it's 9:30, so it's.
Oh yeah, and I'm an old man, so I'll be in bed within the hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tim's gonna be out, like he's gonna be under the covers. So let's talk about some of the CBA stuff going on. The lockout took place last night, midnight. We were all waiting for it. And first off, what I didn't know is that they didn't have to do a lockout right away, which ironically Rachel Luba was the one who tweeted that I saw. And I was like, of course, of all the people that tweet this. But I was very intrigued by that, first off, because, I mean, this was my first experience with lockouts. Tim, what were you when the first lockout, when the last one happened?
94?
Yeah.
I was a baseball crazy 11-year-old kid.
Yeah, I figured.
I remember it well. And like that's like ripping, that's like ripping a little kid's heart out in the middle of August. And like, because the Mets were out of it, and I'm like, holy shit, the Expos. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse. Like the Expos are actually gonna win this thing. This is amazing. And the plug got pulled, and it was painful. And coming back, the game, it took a lot to bring the game back. Everyone points to 98 as the home run chase. It was right. Ripken's beating Gehrig's thing really did it. The home run chase, of course, put it over the top, and MLB turning a blind eye to steroids and all that stuff. But here at this point now, I think that's the last thing they want, is for this to stretch into the regular season, this to, God forbid, affect a full season. As far as locking out the players right at the buzzer like that, that's just a power play, man. This is MLB trying to keep every – I do want to take sides. This is the owners trying to keep every dollar they can in their pockets, which they're business owners. This is what they do. But the business doesn't move without these players. And they're not employees, because MLB ball players aren't employees. But it's the same thing. And this is what the union is for. And I have full confidence that something will be worked out. But this is it's concerning, because the league looks to be digging their heels in. And that's never a good sign.
Yeah, and that's why I figured you would be a good person not only to have on this show, but to have go first on this, because it's. I mean, you did live through it. I assumed you lived through it.
I did. I'm 38. I'm unashamed to share my age, but yes, I am in the elder class of Mets Twitter.
Yeah, that's true. Mets Twitter is fairly young.
Yeah. Oh, good. It's a great crowd. You're familiar.
Popcorn. You get popcorn, Nick. You're so lucky you're not a part of it.
Hey, and I'm genuine. It's a fun crowd. There's troublemakers. There's troublemakers everywhere. But boy, you could feel like the sense of community, especially now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've got quite the group. We've got a lot of characters. But yeah, it's something that. I mean, this is our first experience with this. The last time I have ever even heard the word strike in sports was when the NFL had their strike. I don't even know how long ago that was.
It was like 2011, 2012. The NBA had
2012-ish, yeah.
The NBA had 2011, 2012.
Yeah, it was whichever was the most recent one, because I remember there was one that lasted a really long time.
Yeah.
NBA lost a full season, didn't they?
Yeah, and they started their games on Christmas that year.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so then that was probably the one. Because I remember, because that was back in the time when I'd be watching the news every morning with my mom. We just pop on Good Morning America. And we're like, let's watch GMA every day and see what's going on in the world. And, they're updating you every day on what's going on in the strike. And it's crazy, And, I mean, while in today's world, you're not going to see that stuff on Good Morning America anymore. But still, it's for us, this is our modern day strike from baseball, because it's the same thing, just the owners digging their heels in, and it's such a different it's just such a different thing than we've ever experienced. I've never gone through that before, and I even said it last night that once we've been expecting this for months, and when Jeff Passan released the tweet saying Major League Baseball has officially entered a lockout, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like this is happening, and it's strange. I mean, Tim hit it on the head. I mean, the owners seem like they're digging their heels in way more than the players are.
Well, if I could expand a little bit on that, if I could. I mean, you have. All right, so MLB makes upwards of $10 billion a year. That's what they made in 2019. You have to assume 2020 was a wash. But 2021, I mean, numbers assuredly are going to be through the roof. Then you have new TV money kicking in soon. The implementation of streaming services is going to bring a ton of money into this. The players have already made concessions as far as patches on jerseys. They're open to that. They're open to expanded playoffs. Not exactly the plan that the league proposed, but they're making concessions. They're trying to put money in the players' pockets so that the actual funds that come for the revenue that comes on from the field product, the on-field product, can be fairly dispersed to the product itself, the people who are kind of making that train go. And I think the union, they just want their fair share. They want their piece of the pie, and that they're very extremely well earned to. It's that it's well earned, and they have every right to at this point, I should say. And it's peculiar because MLB, it seems like they know that this is the case. I mean, I don't know if you saw the letter they put out to the fans on MLB.com after they wiped the whole site clean. They brought up the money that was spent in the last 7 days before the lockout took place as this system is working fine. Like, the absolute gall on you to bring that up. You know that this was all pumped up because of the impending freeze. It's underhanded and it's almost blatant, and that just makes it. As someone who's seen this gone down and seen how ugly it can get, I mean, we saw it during the negotiations in 2020 for COVID. That got nasty. 1994 was just as bad, but it was really a different dynamic to it. There was a whole different argument going on, which we won't get into that. That's a whole other pod. But it's left things at the point where you know that MLB has to give up what's earned, what's owed to the Players Association. There's going to have to be compromises made, but the fact that MLB is taking such a hard stance is, well, we're not doing anything wrong. That scares the heck out of me. It really does.
Yeah. I'm
really, sorry. I didn't mean to drone on there.
Okay. I mean, you're, like I said, you're the one who you lived through the first one. So you.
Well, I was a kid, but I was a baseball crazy kid.
Yeah. I mean, you have a lot more experience about that than we did. Long before our time. So. Nick,
yeah, go ahead. Twist the knife, bro. That's fine.
It's okay. I know you can. Nick, so what are your thoughts on this? There's obviously it's kind of hard to not take sides at this point. But I mean, trying to stay objective as possible. There's clearly two very drastically different sides here. So what are you seeing, and what are some of the things that you're thinking about?
I mean, for me, it's not even about sides at this point. I think I'm on the same side as everyone. We want to see baseball be played at this point, and it's just kind of sad. I bet the owners will realize that their product, the reason why they are business owners, their revenue's going to go down because their product just simply isn't playing.
Yeah.
And so hopefully at some point they come to an agreement and just stop being so stubborn with it, because I do think part of it is because they are just trying to get the most money they can, like Tim said, and just. I don't know. It's just sad. I mean, they're hurting 30 different franchises around the country, and even Toronto and Canada. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just really sad. I can't imagine we see baseball before July 4th at this point.
Wow.
That's kind of been my prediction ever since I've seen this. So we'll see. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get baseball by April-ish. But the optimistic side of me is saying more of a July 4th start. So. Which would be better than nothing at that point, but I mean, I just want baseball to be played, and I want the free agents to get signed too. That was a big part of this. Now we don't have any free agency to look forward to. Bray hasn't signed, Brian hasn't signed, Rodon hasn't signed, Kershaw hasn't signed, not even Verlander signed yet officially. So
a
lot to be done.
And what I think is the most challenging thing for me is that we're looking at two sets of people that are both ridiculously rich. Both sides are very well off with the field that they're in, obviously. And I mean, I completely agree with Tim and you too, Nick, that it's that they're MLB's trying to. I've never personally seen the Major League Baseball try and make so many changes at once. And I mean, they want to bring in the DH. They want to expand the playoffs. They want to. I mean, while yes, the players want to make it more competitive too, so they have a lot of changes. I've never seen so many things being thrown in the air before. And I think honestly, what a lot of it is I was thinking about this last night, is that I wonder if a lot of it is because I don't remember when Rob Manfred took over, but I think that he has now. This is really his first time. He's been the commissioner since 2015, so he was there for the last CBA negotiations, but this was his first full period of a CBA being in place. So I think now he's like, I put my taste on baseball and do that. And obviously, he's getting the owner's input as well. But I think the MLB is trying to do too much. Like both sides, like focus on a few things now and wait for some of the other things in 4 or 5 years. You need to make a new one. Because to me, there's no way they're going to be able to come to a legitimate compromise on all of these issues other than just saying, let's leave it the way it is. Like there's no way you're going to appeal both sides other than keeping it the way it is, because there's just so much to talk about. And I mean, there's great ideas. There's like ideas that I look at and I say, how is it even possible? Like, how are we going to do that? And I don't know. Like we speculate so much. I mean, the biggest unknown for me is salary. I mean, what happens if they implement a salary cap? And what if it's 250 million and the Mets are like, well, we're 262. What are we going to do? Like, how are they going to do that? I don't know. There's so much in the air, so much questions that we're not. I mean, I don't even. How is this going to be reported on? What are they going to report on? What are they going to talk about? Are we going to know what they're discussing at the table? I don't know. Tim,
I mean, all right. So back when when during the strike in 1994, all you had was your newspapers. So
right.
you read what was there. My brother and I would watch Sports Center, and it was, times were changing a little bit, but it was very much analog information. Now, and even in the last few days, you've kind of seen it take place where you see certain national writers coming out and appearing to be stumping for one side or the other. And now, that kind of happens with everything. There's always been the guys who have been a mouthpiece for a league, or the writers who have been a mouthpiece for, whatever. This is just kind of the dynamic of today. I'm also really curious to see how that's going to shake out. But yeah, considering teams aren't allowed to make any statements to the media throughout this process, at least team officials, you have to assume that sources are going to be the only way. And when sources are the only way, anyone could throw anything out there. We saw that happen in the last couple of weeks where, I think Baez was getting 200 million at some point, and that was from a direct source. Come on. You could just kind of put whatever you want out there. And I think we'll see a lot of that happen, where it's going to be a lot of posturing. It's going to be a lot of swaying of public favor. Just look at Manfred today. He made it, one of the saddest things in baseball is when a player leaves in free agency. No, the saddest thing in baseball is when a team lets a fan favorite leave in free agency, doesn't make an attempt to re-sign him, doesn't spend money to replace him, and just puts a replacement player out there and says, yeah, we'll be fine. That's the worst thing. That's the saddest thing in baseball. Yeah. And you're going to see this stuff from whether it's league officials or what, pretty much just, putting this stuff out there to stir the pot. And it's going to be a long winter, boys.
Yeah. I'm not ready.
It's gonna be and like you said, with the random sources that are just going to come out, and
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if they're true? I mean,
Yeah.
you never know. I mean,
Hey,
while
this could wrap up by February. It could also
Yeah.
wrap up in June. So
it's also
I mean,
wrap up tomorrow. You never know. Like,
no,
I mean,
you know, the
obviously-
league is making so much money right now that the owners wouldn't. I honestly think the owners wouldn't let it drag out that long. I know
Yeah.
they're billionaires and they can handle the blow,
Yeah.
but the league is set to make so much money through their TV deals and new sponsorships and all that, the gambling stuff. There's just too much money on the table. I think this will get done at some point before or in spring training, whatever it may be. I honestly think the season could start on time, but
Yeah. I
there's
think,
going to be a lot of work to be done.
I think that, like you said, it's if COVID hadn't happened, it would be a very different story because they would have had all that money, but they lost so much money because of the COVID.
Did they?
Well, they lost so much money that they lost enough that they can't really afford to lose like so much of this year too.
Yeah, but they're still being $70
You
Well,
know,
yeah, they are.
I'd love to see one day. We're not going to see it anytime soon. I want to see MLB's actual financials, which we're not allowed to see. It's a private corporation, and they don't have to show us anything.
Yeah.
But with the antitrust laws, you know, it seems like they're in the public eye enough that, and there's so much money at stake that until those books do get opened up, it's just going to be more of this cloak and dagger stuff. And it's frustrating, but I think that when you were saying earlier how things are going to stay the same, I think in my eyes that's the constant that's going to stick is the underhanded backroom dealings, the MLB, the Manfred brand. It's the truth, and I don't know the guy, but how he conducts business, he is the epitome of a commissioner who is pretty much a hired arm of the owners. That's his job description. He's protecting the assets of league's owners, and he's showing his colors with no hesitation these days.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well,
Gentlemen, I have to split. I was gonna say I gotta jump.
I was gonna let you. I was like, it's that time. I've got you. So
Appreciate it.
joining us, everyone. That has been Tim Ryder. It was
Thank
great
you,
to
Sam.
have you back on. We'll have you again sometime this off season. I would love to have you back. Obviously, if you were willing to do so, we would be happy to have you. It's been
Anytime, guys. Mike, Nick, it's a pleasure every time, and really, the players might be locked out, but I am not. So you give a shout whenever I'm around.
Yes. Well, I mean, who knows? This offseason might go season 5 on running the bases, which is what we normally do is change it by the offseason and season. Might last a little longer than normal. So thank you, Tim. It was really great to have you. Have a great if we don't see you, have a great rest of your holiday season, and we will we'll catch up with time in the near future.
Yeah.
Excellent. You two guys enjoy break. Congratulations on another semester in the books, and keep killing it out there. We'll talk soon.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sam.
Bye, guys.
As always, an absolute pleasure to have Tim on. He's fantastic. We love Tim. He was our first guest ever. And he has been
Yeah,
he's been so great for us and so generous to have him. He's just been so generous to share his time with us. It's been a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
I mean, the lockout talks they're thrilling. We can roll back to some of the free agents and talking about those because there's still tons of free agents that haven't signed, like you said. And the next one here was a guy that I wasn't shocked that he signed before, but I was kind of surprised in Marcus Simeon that he got such a huge contract.
Yeah.
Because I tried to order this in terms of not necessarily how big of their contracts were going to be, but I tried to just order this sheet in to me how, kind of best to worst. Obviously not worst, but you know what I mean, in order of how good they are. And I mean, I had Simeon at 9th on here, but I could have easily had him. He signed a bigger deal than Baez, signed a much bigger deal than Martay. He could have easily been number 4 or 5 on here. So what are your thoughts of Marcus Simeon? He's been all around Major League Baseball. He's been, traveling around. Now he joins Corey Seeger up in out there in Texas. So what do you think? I mean, the Rangers going all in on a team that to me isn't gonna be able to compete for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mentioned back when we talked about Seeger how now with Simeon. They formed probably the best middle infield in all of baseball. And like to me, Simeon's deal kind of like I related a lot to the Baez deal. It makes me really happy thinking about it. Like I'm not trying to discredit what the Rangers did giving Simeon that money, but the fact that the Tigers were able to swing 140 for Baez as opposed to the Rangers paying 175 for Simeon, to me it's a good deal. And it's for Simeon and for Seeger, now they have an opportunity to lead this Rangers team. Obviously, they won't be good next year, in my opinion, but you never know. Obviously, this Giants team we saw this year was very good. Had the most wins in the MLB without any stars, but I think the Rangers still have a ways to go. I don't know if the rotation's quite there at all. The rest of the lineup outside of Seeger, Garcia, and Simeon, I think is kind of weak. Falefa, I don't know.
Kiner Falefa.
Yeah, he's also solid play to have too, but outside of that, the Rangers don't have much to work with, but they're in a very good place, and in about 3 or 4 years, to seriously compete the AL West, and Simeon's a great guy to have. He's finished top 3 in MVP voting the past 2 years now. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know about 2020.
I don't know if it's 2020. 19 though.
Oh, let me take. I know. Obviously, this year he did, which was strange, because we all thought that would be Salvador Perez's week. Right. I mean, it kind of should have been. He finished 30 MVP in 2019 too. So how about that? Ironically, he didn't win the Silver Slugger in 2019, which is weird. But it probably is because he was at a position with someone who's better. I don't remember who was the American League MVP in 2019.
2019.
Wow, I need to look this up. No, I don't think so. Trout.
Okay, that's a pretty simple game.
It was Trout, yeah. Pretty simple. He didn't win MVP, and the only other one there that could have been would have been LeMay. That could have won this gold or Silver Slugger could have been Bogarts, and he finished 5th in the MVP. So, Bogarts hit 309 with the same home runs and more RBIs. So never mind, that makes sense. I don't know why Simeon finished 30 MVP voting. He didn't have nearly as good stats, but. I was. This deal was. I mean, Marcus Simeon's another one of those really underrated guys. We were really speaking highly of him entering this season because he's a very good player. He's a really talented guy who can hit really well, and we saw that. I mean, he hit 44 home runs this year. I mean, if someone came back in February and told me I'm from October. I'm from the future, and I'm here to tell you that Marcus Simeon's going to hit 44 home runs this year or put $1 million on. I would have said, no way. You're lying. Go away. Yeah. There's just no way because he's Marcus Simeon. Who would have expected him to hit 44 homers? And for a guy who's in his 30s, he is just turning his career around. And it blows my mind. I'm so impressed with him and with what he can do. And the fact that he's been able to do that so consistently. It's been fun to watch. He was a big piece of that Blue Jays team this year. It was really a lot of fun. Now the next one in Marcus Strowman was very interesting because he announced it himself. He pulled the Trevor Bauer and went out and he announced his own signing himself, as he said he was going to do. Marcus Strowman said last week on Twitter, he said, "I will be breaking my own signing even a couple weeks ago because players want to change the culture. They want to change the way Major League Baseball is run. They want to change the dynamic." And this really did that. I mean, he had even before he even said, "Let's go Cubs" on his Twitter, he had retweeted one of Adbert Alzolay's tweets and said, "Can't wait to pitch with you next year." And then 2 minutes later said, "Let's go Cubs." And I was like, dude, this is and I mean, not even one reporter at all tweeted Marcus Strowman to the Cubs because even after he had signed, the only things they said were details of the contract because they were like, "Oh, I guess he took care of it for us. We didn't even need to contact the source because Marcus Strowman's going to the Cubs." So from my standpoint, this was a smart deal for Marcus. He loves Chicago. He loves the Cubs. And it was hard for me to see as a Mets fan to see him go because I felt like he was going to stick with the Mets. But then they got Max Scherzer. I mean, I'd been saying it all winter. Yeah, I will. I've been saying it all winter. There's 2 categories for the Mets. It's Max Scherzer or Marcus Strowman, and then you go for one spot, and then you grab from the Gausman Ray category. And if you get Scherzer, you kind of have to drop down another tier because you can't really get Kevin Gausman and Max Scherzer.
Right.
But and Marcus Stroman was very disappointed that the Mets weren't showing interest in him, which, I mean, understandably so. It's either you or Max Scherzer. They're going to target Max Scherzer, and they did, and they got him, which was incredible. So what are your thoughts on this Marcus Stroman deal? Only 3 years, which surprised me a lot. I thought he would have gotten more years and the same money anywhere else, but what are your takes?
Yeah, honestly, I was a little confused. Just because it's kind of one of those deals where it's a very elite player going to a team that's not on the come up yet. Kind of like the Marco Lanson deal. One of the better closers in the league going to Diamondbacks. Kind of confusing there. But no, yeah, this deal with Strowman, obviously gives the Cubs an elite ace now.
Yeah.
And they're pretty obviously after the whole dismantle of the Baez versus O'Brien situation, they were terrible after that. They had a rookie, Patrick
Wisdom. They
They
had Wisdom and Schwindel. You were going to combine
Yeah,
the two.
it really was. That's how they Patrick Swindle. No, but yeah, the Cubs have a pretty solid, fun team now, and Strowman just adds there. Strowman's been wanting to pitch in Chicago for a few years now, it looks like. So
yeah,
it was just a match made. So good for Strowman getting that contract. 3 years, like you said, is a little much.
Yeah. It was. I was really surprised by that. I mean, I thought the Mets were going to go after him for maybe 5 years and $23 million a year, but he ended up only getting 3. But obviously, we don't know what his market was looking like. Maybe he really wanted to sign, and no one else was willing to give him those 5 years. But Marcus Stroman's going to thrive. He's going to do a fantastic job in Chicago. The 3-year deal really confuses me because to me, at the end of 3 years, he's not going to get another 3 or 4 year contract. He's going to maybe get 1 or 2. I was really shocked by that because he could have gotten 5, maybe even 6. I mean, we saw Kevin Gausman get a 6-year contract, and to me, Marcus Stroman's just as good of a pitcher as Kevin Gausman is. He must have really wanted to play with the Cubs, and the Mets obviously hadn't made him an offer or showed enough interest, so it went that way, and it's very surprising to me. Our coattails aren't here today, but we will end the show right here as this is the end of our in studio for this semester at Blaze Radio. It has been a blast. We've had so much fun. Being back in person together it's been an absolute joy. I have enjoyed every single day. We are going to be doing shows throughout our winter semester. We're going to be doing them on Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. Arizona time. That is 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific. So we're looking forward to it. Wednesday mornings, it's going to be a lot of fun. We are obviously really, really excited to keep this content going. We're going to have a lot of great guests the rest of this season. I can promise you that because as normal, season 5, the off-season season, is just going up until the season begins, and we're going to have tons of guests. We're going to have tons of content. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got our off-season stuff covering the 2021 year is not done yet. We've got our top 50 players of the year will be coming up later this month, which is always a fun time.
And our segments are back.
Yes, our segments are back. The Nick Knock and Ryan's segment, which I completely forgot the name of, where he does his Jeopardy, are back for this season. I'm stoked. Baseball is, well, gone. Baseball's gone, but we are not going anywhere. Running the bases, as Tim said, we're not locked out. We're here. We're going to be providing you all of your baseball content as much as you want it. So thank you guys for tuning in, especially for those on Blaze who we don't have any listeners on Blaze anyway. But, for the random people that are walking outside of Cronkite right now, I hope you have a great night. Thank you for listening on Blaze. And thank you for being here with us all semester. It's been a lot of fun. We hope to be back on Blaze next semester, hopefully the same time, same place. That's what we look for. And we'll have Spencer Shehawk on the show with us next season as well.
Yes, sir.
When we're
the collab of Crystal Home and Running the Bases.
It's officially starting. So thank you guys again for a really great time. We will see you next week, but on Blaze, we will see you next semester. Take care, everyone.